Hello, everybody. So, I'm going to jump right in. Y'all know that I have been talking about Candace Owens and the Charlie Kirk assassination, and a few people that worked for the Turning Point USA organization. I've mentioned Micah McCoy, Blake Neff. Here and there, I've mentioned Andrew Colvett, as the person who does most of the speaking on the Charlie Kirk show. Well, I'm going to warn you, this video may go long. I made some notes because I wanted to say exactly what the guy said. Excuse me. And it was Blake Neff who spoke out today. I guess he's supposed to be representing Turning Point USA, speaking on their behalf. So, what they decided to do was come out and openly respond to what Candace has been saying. But first, excuse me, um, I want to say that what they would have been better to do was just not to respond directly to Candace, but to respond to the public. Because it's many of us who have come to have an invested interest in what they're doing, why they're lying, what happened to Charlie Kirk. Many people that supported Charlie Kirk, that donated to his organization, people that work within Turning Point USA, people that just watched Charlie Kirk videos, people that just saw this man taken out in broad daylight in front of the entire world. Everybody, most people, know about this and have a thought one way or another about what happened to this guy, this young man, and why. So, the government came out, and when I say the government, I mean the people in Utah, the officials there came out and spoke about it in the immediate aftermath. And in the days following, our United States FBI, Cash Patel, um, came out and talked about it, addressed it, said they had caught the man, this and the other. So our FBI claims that Tyler Robinson, a guy from Utah, I think around 23 years old maybe, is the one who took out Charlie Kirk on his own. So that's basically all they told us. Now, Candace, why she's so invested in this, again, if you go back and see, or if you have seen my other videos, you know that they basically were speaking on Charlie, speaking for him, especially Netanyahu from the nation of Israel, came out in the days after Charlie Kirk was taken out and spoke about this letter that Charlie had written to him and made it seem like that Charlie Kirk was in total support of Israel and their cause and what they were doing and da 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 da, this and that. And Candace had inside information about what actually else, other things that were contained in that letter. And that kind of set her off. Like, if you're going to talk about the letter, like it's a love letter for the nation of Israel or Bibi Netanyahu, then talk about the all of the letter. Don't just address the parts that make you look good or what you're doing in Israel look good. Talk about the whole letter. So that really kind of set her off. And, you know, to her and to us, people that even care about the situation, it looked like they were lying because that started a chain of events where people just started outright lying about things that had happened in the months leading up to Charlie's death and the day, and then after, in the immediate aftermath after his death. So I made notes because, for one, I'm a little over the hill. And for two, Blake Neff. Now, if you remember, I told you Blake Neff is the one who was standing there the day that Charlie Kirk got taken out. Mikey McCoy was standing there, and Blake Neff was standing, I said, about 2 or 3 feet, I guess, away from from Mikey McCoy. Blake Neff, I've also said, is the one who came from Tucker Carlson's show. He did, I don't know if he wrote, produced, whatever he did for Tucker, I don't know. I've just heard Tucker say that, he worked for him on his show. Also, I said that Blake Neff was the one who actually had somewhat of a normal reaction when the gunshot rang out. He kind of dipped and took off. He was moving, and he kind of skipped hop in the midst of him getting away. So that's Blake Neff. That's who Turning Point chose to put up to address Candace head on. So he's on the Charlie Kirk show. Yes, they still call it the Charlie Kirk show. He's on the Charlie Kirk show, and this day there's nobody else sitting with him around the table. He's there by himself addressing all this. He's reading from a paper. He's not even speaking just off the top of his head about somebody who they all claim to love and have been so close to. Excuse me one second, I have to take this phone call. Sorry about that. So I had to take that call. My husband was calling. So yeah, they still have the Charlie Kirk show, and they still call it the Charlie Kirk show, even this though this young man is departed from us. So Blake Neff is the patsy in this situation. The government has said Tyler Robinson is the one who took out Charlie Kirk all on his own when Candace has basically did an investigation with her followers, her team, and just people on the internet. So um, she has a lot of receipts, and people just they don't want her to keep talking about it. They want her to shut up. They basically want her to shut up. Um, so people that have followed her from the beginning with her investigation, and it's a whole army of people that are doing videos, and people from the Marines, people in the armed forces, people in military people that have been doing their own investigations online, and it just our government just looks like they've just been lying to us throughout this whole thing. I've seen footage myself of the guy. I've seen tons of footage since the day they took out this young man. And I actually saw footage of the guy Tyler Robinson, who they say took out Charlie Kirk. I've seen footage of him pumping gas at a gas station at the time that he was supposed to be carrying out this shooting. And it's him. It's him. So people call him he's the patsy. He's the guy that's going to take the fall, even though nobody believes he's really the guy that did it. So Blake Neff is the patsy for Turning Point USA. They put him up to this mess of a response to Candace Owens when they should have been responding to the public at large. He's the patsy. And so he said so much I had to write down because if you don't say what people said, they'll say you're a liar. Like if you put it in your own words, and if you get one little itty bitty detail of it wrong, they'll say you're a liar. When it's clear, and it's been clear from the beginning, who the people are that are doing the lying in this situation. So let me move on. And I just want to make it clear they're only attacking Candace and the people who they say are her supporters or whatever, which is absolutely absurd because you're saying then that the public has no intelligence to see that what's been going on is all a lie. that you want us to just believe what little tiny bit you all have said and what the government has said and just let that fly. Like I said, they don't want us to believe what we saw with our own eyes. It's absolutely absurd. So he addressed some things that Candace said about Mikey McCoy's wife because Mikey McCoy works for Turning Point USA. His brother works for Turning Point USA. And his wife works for Turning Point USA. She does something that involves events or event planning. Don't know. Candace spoke a little bit to that, not much. I don't know if it's true or not true. That was not important. And I just want Turning Point USA and you, Blake Neff, to know that the majority of the public, we came to our own opinion about what was going on in this case, not just because of what Candace was presenting to the public, but because of what we saw ourselves and how we saw you all not saying anything, right? And letting this foolishness just go on. Like, for instance, for example, Rob McCoy, who's supposed to be a pastor, who I found out was supposed to be Charlie's pastor, getting up and saying that his son, Mikey McCoy, was covered in blood. They let this go. It's almost 90 days now. You're just coming out and addressing these things. I just saw just a week ago or so where Mikey McCoy just came out and said that this is not true and he questioned his dad about it. But he saw it 30 days after his dad said that trending online. And you're just saying something about it. These people are, it makes no sense. And I just want to reiterate again what I've said from the beginning. Mikey McCoy could have cared less that his friend and boss, Charlie Kirk, was murdered. He cared less. Now, I was being generous, Blake Neff, the other day when I made my last video and said, okay, I'll give you that, Mikey McCoy. You may have seen the impact of the bullet hit Charlie. That was me being generous because from the very beginning, I've said there's no way you could have even known that he was hit in the neck because soon as you heard the ring of the gun, the bullet blast from the gun, you turned and walked away and you never looked back. And I want to reiterate this man, Mikey McCoy, who Charlie not only gave you a job, but your brother a job, and your wife a job, and basically your dad, because he claims to be a part of, well, he did claim to be a part of Turning Point USA Faith, a pastor of Charlie's, even though now he's trying to distance himself, but still, the evidence is there. You, Mikey McCoy, Blake Neff, Turning Point USA. This man, Mikey McCoy, could have cared less that Charlie Kirk was taken out that day. He turned and walked away. He had the phone up to his ear. Anybody in their right mind would say he's on the phone. Don't know if he was or not, whatever. He walked away and he never looked back. And he walked and he kept walking. He did not run. He did not walk fast. He did not skip, hop, or jump. He strolled away, right on out, away from everything that was going on. He could have cared less. I say that because I saw it, not because Candace Owens said it. I saw it with my own eyes. Now, they're saying that Candace Owens says that it's weird or it's strange that this Turning Point USA event for Charlie was booked so quickly, like within a matter of weeks. You know, right, not long before his death, this event was booked. And Candace has said that's strange because she said it usually takes a semester. I've been in school before. A semester is usually 90 days. So it usually takes at least a semester, if not longer, to get booked and go through all the rigmarole you have to go through with setting up one of these events. Mind you, she started out with Charlie Kirk. They came up in politics together. She herself did tours with Charlie Kirk for Turning Point USA. Just did one last year. So, quite naturally, that gives her credibility to say that's strange how they rushed this event up because that's not how it usually happened. So, Blake Neff and all you other people, you have no credibility. Zero. A big goose egg. You don't have any credibility. You sit here all these months. We're getting into 90 days, a full entire probationary period for somebody on their job. That you all have sit there and said nothing. You have not came to her defense. You have not spoken out when people are blatantly lying. Nothing. So, no, no. Just because you say something, Blake Neff, don't mean it's true. The world saw what happened to Charlie Kirk. It's you who is delusional. We saw it. Moving on. Now, he also said that Candace Owens was attacking Charlie Kirk's wife for stepping in or whatever, taking over Turning Point USA. That's a lie. That's a lie. I heard Candace address the fact, and she said, address um, and she said, rightfully so. Charlie Kirk's wife would naturally fall into place as being the president of Turning Point USA. She said that was rightfully so. She was Charlie's wife, his next of kin. Her and his children would be his heirs. She said it would seem right that she would quite naturally fall into place. She was only concerned that she hoped that Erica was ready for all of the stuff, like what's going on, that's going to come with being the president of a huge organization of this magnitude. She never said that she shouldn't be the president or she spoke negatively about it. She never did that. So again, you're lying. And why? Why are you lying? You're reading from a paper and you're lying. Why? Then he spoke about them giving, saying that Candace said that nobody gave Charlie any first aid, ensuring that he would die. How was she to know that if he didn't receive any first aid, he would die? I don't know what she said about it. I know that she said nobody gave him any first aid, and that people in the organization have said they couldn't render first aid because it was so bloody. It was such. So, what first aid? Nobody gave him first aid. If y'all, when he was down on the ground, if y'all weren't attempting to give him first aid, and they weren't because they were looking around like who's looking at us, who's watching, and then they would look down, what were y'all doing to Charlie? You wasn't trying to save his life, as she said, and I've heard her say this. Nobody was taking out gauze and attempted to pack him or roll him around the wound. What were y'all doing to him? Moving on. So then, Blake Neff, you would have done better if you had just did what the other Turning Point people did and not show up for work that day when they said you're going to be the one to go in front of the camera and address this. You would have done better to not show up. You would have done better to call out that day because you had no credibility to start with. And this little response that you call yourself reading, it puts you in the negative. Then he goes on to say that Candace Owens criticized their tech team for protecting their cameras or SD cards or whatever because people were stealing things. You know, you shouldn't have went there. You shouldn't have went there. Because this is what happened. In the immediate aftermath, after they took Charlie off into the SUV, I guess to take him to the hospital, wherever they took him, people from Turning Point, they snatched down the camera that was behind Charlie's head and took the SD cards out of the camera. Okay? Now, they told Candace very early on that they did this because people were stealing hats and merchandise and stuff, and they didn't want that footage to be stolen and to be exposed. But what you did do, and you and nobody else from your organization has addressed, you went into an active crime scene. This man had just been taken out right there in front of the entire world. You went into an active crime scene, moved the chair that Charlie Kirk was sitting in and was assassinated in with your bare hands, picked the chair up and moved the chair to where the cameras were, got up in the chair with your dirty titty shoes in an active crime scene, okay, got up in the chair, stood up in the chair, snatched the cameras down, left the chair there where the cameras were, laid the camera on the table that was in front of where Charlie Kirk was taken out at, took the SD card out, left the camera, you're worried about people stealing, left the camera and walked off in an active crime scene. So you've trampled the crime scene, you've moved evidence, you've touched it, you stood in it, but you want to complain that your tech team is being criticized. What about the fact that you're destroying a crime scene? If we lived in a just world, okay, these people would be charged, in my opinion, for tampering with evidence, obstruction of justice, just whatever. It makes no sense that you don't address that. You're worried about your tech team being criticized. When? Really? Grow a pair. Okay? Grow a pair. Committed a crime in front of the world. I would say, in my opinion, what you did was criminal. Who goes into an active crime scene before the police or investigators get there and move things around in front on camera? I'll move on. Now, then he attacks Candace, responds to Candace for saying that Candace has said that Charlie was betrayed by everyone. You think? You think? A blind person could see that he was betrayed by all of you. Are you kidding me? First off, Mikey McCoy, his chief of staff, who he gave a job, walks off and never looks back. No concern for what just happened to his close friend. No concern. You claim he was so upset his lip was quivering. Didn't look like that to the whole world. No. Then you run away. You never look back. And then you have the gall to sit up on camera on the Charlie Kirk show. This man is no longer with us. You don't have any decency to even rename the show. You have the gall to sit up there and you want to criticize people for talking about what we saw with our own eyes. Like we don't know what we're talking about. No, it's you who are delusional. It's clear Charlie was betrayed by everybody. Nobody came out and spoke up about any of the things that Candace Owens was saying. If Candace Owens was lying, surely you would have provided some proof. But guess what you didn't do? You didn't provide no proof. She did. She provided the emails. She provided the text messages. And what happened? When she called you out, then you had to speak up. Like she said, lover, hater, indifferent, whatever. Like she said, you all knew that she was telling the truth, and none of you, not his wife, not BlakeNeff, not Andrew Colvette, not none of these people spoke up and said a word. They all said she was lying until they couldn't say she was lying because she pulled up the receipts. And when she pulled up the receipts, then you had to speak and you had to come out and say what? You had to come out and say what? Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, what she said is true. So was he betrayed by everyone you think? You're his close friend. Really? With friends like you, who needs enemies? Are you kidding me? You have zero credibility. Moving on. So then he goes on to say that Candace Owens has said that the company is riddled with fraud and the finances are messed up. And then he comes on and he says, Charlie did a yearly audit every year. We never missed a tax deadline. Our books are up to date, da 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 da. But you didn't address the Doge department that Charlie Kirk set up right in the days before he was taken out. Charlie Kirk had concerns. How do I know this? Because Candace had the email that he sent out to the entire Turning Point organization. You bunch of liars. You're a bunch of liars. Are you kidding us? Really? You're going to tell us that you didn't betray Charlie? Yeah. Okay. We're going to continue to pray for you all. Yeah. Yeah. Charlie Kirk set up a Doge style department in the days right before his death because he wanted to know where was this money coming from and where was it going to. Yeah, he did. So, no, she wasn't talking about a yearly audit. No, she was talking about Doge, which he specifically said, which she specifically said, because he wanted to get to the bottom of what was going on in his company. Mikey McCoy's brother, the chief finance officer. You think that didn't make people nervous if there is fraud going on that's not caught by a yearly audit? You think people didn't get nervous about that? We're all adults here, aren't we? Huh? Say what? Yeah, when the money starts looking funny in my company, I want to get to the bottom of it. And I'm going to get to the bottom of it. No, this is not just a yearly audit, employees. This is a Doge type department. We're going to scrutinize every detail that the audit may have missed. And we're going to find that money, where it's coming from, and where it's going to. But you didn't address that, did you, BlakeNeff, Turning Point USA? You didn't address that, did you? No. No, you didn't. Was Charlie betrayed by everyone? Moving on. Then he went on to say, wham, wham, wham. Candace is always coming up with something new. Every day, all the time, it's something different. It's this and that and the other. It's from the beginning, there's been nothing to any of this that she said. Really? Really? So the times that Turning Point USA has spoken up, why did they? BlakeNeff, why did y'all speak up if it was nothing from the beginning? Oh, because she pulled those receipts on you and you had to address it? Yeah. And why is it always something? Because she's doing an investigation in front of the entire world. Yes, she is. You know why? Because she was Charlie Kirk's friend. And you know what else? Charlie Kirk told her that he knew he was going to die. What? Say what? Yeah, that's something that you tell your close friend that you're worried and concerned about. Then he says she lies, she has a reckless disregard for the truth. Really? Really? Really, Blake Neff? You're really talking about yourself and your friends, all your friends, and the whole of Turning Point USA. That's really who you're talking about. You just lie. You have a reckless disregard for the truth. Yeah. You're pointing the finger at Candace, but that thumb, as usual, is pointing right back at y'all. You did yourself a disgrace by addressing it. You should have just stayed quiet. Nobody was there to accompany you. You should have took a hint out of their page and stayed off camera and left this alone. Because you're not just addressing Candace Owen. You're addressing all the people in all the world that are concerned with who murdered this man and why in front of the world. Why did you do it in front of us all? You couldn't have taken him out somewhere. If you had to be taken out, God forbid, but he did because he's no longer with us. You couldn't have taken him out in a car accident, poisoned his food, or no. You did it in front of the whole entire world. So you're not just addressing Candace Owens. No, you're addressing the entire world, and you should have just stayed silent. Then, get this. Then he goes on to say his friends haven't been able to even grieve properly. His friends had to witness the assassination of their friend. And they've had to endure harassment due to what Candace Owens is saying and whipping people up and riling people up. They've suffered more harassment from the people that Candace has riled up than from Antifa, they say are the leftists who are glad that Charlie Kirk was taken out. They are happy about his death. And they say these people that are all riled up and harassing his friends and keeping them from grieving properly. He's saying what they're doing is evil. He's saying what we're doing, asking questions of our government and of Charlie Kirk's organization, not Blake Neff's. No, not Mikey McCoy's, not Rob McCoy, not Andrew Colvett. Charlie Kirk's organization. He's saying we're evil for asking questions. Why don't you just shut up and just go along with whatever the government says? We can trust our government. Who are you to say that our government's not doing a proper investigation? Oh, did they just say that there was Epstein files and we're going to release them all? Hmm? And then did they come back and say there's no files? There's Jeffrey Epstein didn't traffic anybody to anybody but himself. There's no there. And have they came back now and said we're going to release those files? Oh, the files that you said didn't exist? But you shut up and you just believe your government because they know what they're doing. You're delusional. You're in a fairy tale world. We don't join people there in the land of delusion. We don't do that. No. No. We stand up for the truth and we call a thing what it is. And what we're doing is not evil. What Candace is doing is not evil. People want the truth and want people that actually took out this young man in front of the entire world to receive their justice. That's not evil. What is evil is lying and lying and lying and complaining and whining and moaning. Nah, nah, I haven't had the chance to grieve properly. Guess what? Nobody's had the chance to grieve properly because you all are lying from the very beginning. Yeah, what's evil is Charlie Kirk was taken out in front of the entire world, and that one day his kids may actually see that. His kids are left fatherless because of what? Because of what? That's what's evil. But did you mention his kids? No, 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 no. You're evil. Your whole organization is evil, in my opinion, from what I've seen. We got two different definitions of what evil is. Like Neff, you should have kept your mouth shut. You did yourself and the whole turning point a disservice. They already had no credibility. You put them in the negative with this crap. No. Yeah. Now, I'm trying to wrap this up, but he went on and on. Yeah. He thought he was doing the most. Yeah. And another thing, Blake Neff, you and your Turning Point friends and the whole organization, you waited almost 90 days. Almost 90 days. You could have put all this to bed. But no, 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 no. So how dare you, Blake Neff? How dare you, Turning Point USA? How dare you come online publicly and say, woe is me. I'm the victim. this man was this man was taken out in front of the entire world. Some people say the biggest assassination on a person's life since JFK. That's what some people think of this lifetime. And you're going to have the audacity to come on public in front of everybody and say, "Woe is us" at Turning Point? Really? Then he says, Turning Point USA believed they shouldn't even have to respond to anyone. Much less, he didn't say this, but you might as well have. Much less Candace Owens. Like, who is she? Why should we have to respond to her? Yeah, we shouldn't have to come out and address this. This is beneath us. We don't owe you any explanation. The gall of you to come online in front of the entire world and say it's beneath you, that you shouldn't even have to address this when all the money you've made, even since Charlie Kirk has passed away, all the money you've made, all the thousands, if not millions, of people that were hurt by this death, traumatized by this death, people that supported him, that loved him, that donated to him, that went to wherever he was to hear him. You think it's beneath you and Turning Point to have to come out? Who made you king? Oh, you're sitting at the top of Charlie's empire now, huh? Let me tell you, Blake Neff, the Bible tells us that pride always goes before a great fall. Okay? Something y'all obviously don't do over there is read the book, the holy book. You need to try that. You shouldn't have to come out and address anything. Are you kidding me? Who do you think you are? You wouldn't even be sitting there if Charlie Kirk hadn't put you there. And you think you shouldn't have to come out and address anything on his behalf? You're sick. The whole head is sick. Yeah. And then he goes on to try to say, Charlie looked at Candace Owens like she was a friend. That's another reason why we didn't say anything. You know, Charlie always considered Candace a friend. We thought that she would be friendly back and stop all of this. Is another reason we didn't address it. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You thought she would be a friend back and just shut up and not say anything about her close friend that was taken out in front of the entire world? You should have asked Charlie about Candace because you had no clue who you were dealing with. No. You should have asked Charlie, how deep does this friendship go between you guys? What is she really like? Because obviously none of you had any clue. To think that you can just sit up here and just lie and let all this garbage go on while Charlie was talking to Candace in the backdrop and making her aware of some of his deepest feelings and thoughts about his life. Sick, 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 sick. So, what Turning Point USA has agreed to do, this is what BlakeNeff said, they're going to live stream on the Charlie Kirk Show, I guess. They want Candace Owens to come to Arizona and they will feel free to debate her. That's what he said. Come to Arizona, Candace. We'll debate you here in Arizona, live. You can ask all the questions you want, and we will tackle them together. First of all, anybody in their right mind knows she doesn't need to go anywhere. She's been on several shows, podcasts, whatever, and hasn't had to go anywhere. It can be live streamed right from where she is. Why does she have to come there? And I understand Candace said that she doesn't really feel anything about going there. She'll go, she'll do it because if anything happens to her, it's going to be clear who's done it. But no, Candace. No. No, 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 no. Pray about that thing before you go. And you have a whole army of true believers praying for you that you will not lean unto your own understanding, but you will let God lead and guide you. Because when we lean into our own understanding, we make mistakes and things happen. No. When God leads us, the right things happen. None of these people are to be trusted. This has been made clear for all the world to see. None of them should be trusted. No. They lie, they cheat, they steal, in my opinion, from all that I've seen and all that I've heard. And they would like nothing more than for you, Candace Owens, to go away. However that happens, they don't care. They just want you to shut up and go away. If you don't know Jesus Christ, you need to get to know him. These are evil, dark, twisted, demonic times that we're living in. Dear God, I believe Jesus died for me. I'm trusting him to forgive my sins and to save me. Help me to believe, Jesus, in your holy name. Amen. Y'all stay prayed up. Stay away from these demons. They're on the loose. They're lurking. And they're lying. God's word says the enemy, the devil, he's roaming about seeking whom he may devour. Don't get devoured by these lies and these demons. God bless you all.